Listen up, everyone. I have an important announcement in that I will be selling all of my crypto, Bitcoin, everything. Crypto Twitter is right. This cycle is different. The top seems to be in, and I'm throwing in the towel, packing up, going home, preparing for the bear market. So I will see you maybe next year. Just kidding. Does that sound like me? It does not sound like me. I know it seems as though I'm a permabull eternal optimist, but guys, I can't stress this enough, and I believe that this space needs this more than ever right now. A crypto pep talk. I hope you're listening in carefully because what I'm about to say is so important. Please do take this opportunity to zoom out and understand why I believe that we are actually just getting started on the fourth and most parabolic phase of the bull run and why I couldn't be more bullish long term. In fact, not even that long term. These are the times in the market when people believe that we're just beginning to see the worst. They're giving up, they're walking away, and I want to remind you of this picture. Shout out to General Dole from the Theta community. I absolutely love this image. Do not give up when you've been mining, working, and you're just about to strike gold, or in this case, diamonds. So that's where I believe we are right now. And the fact that retail, which is you and me and everybody else on crypto Twitter and that is trading this market that's not institutional or sovereign wealth fund or any of that. So if you're thinking about capitulating now, just remember that you're at the risk of selling your Bitcoin and your crypto cheap to the likes of BlackRock and all the other institutions that are just getting started with their accumulation. That is what these markets are designed to do, to create that emotion so that we can have the volatility and all the other players, the whales and everyone else can buy cheap. And remember, whales don't trade on emotion. Retail does. So again, this is not financial advice. This is just what I'm doing. I just believe that this market needs this more than ever now. As Warren Buffett's right-hand man, the late Charlie Munger, said, the markets, he actually said stock markets, but let's substitute for any markets, are designed to transfer money from the impatient to the patient hands. And that is what we are witnessing right now in crypto. And I'm going to explain to you why this is the biggest wealth transfer in history. If you don't believe me, if you don't believe all of the signals, I'm going to point out one study from Cathy Woods, the CEO of ARK Invest, on their big ideas for next year. And it's wild. In this video, I'll be discussing macro ideas, on-chain indicators, as well as sentiment analysis to get to the bottom of why exactly I believe we're just at that turning point of the most bullish explosion you've ever seen in these markets. So just to set the tone, stocks are at all-time highs. We have the first ever pro-crypto administration discussing a Bitcoin strategic reserve and also a sovereign wealth fund that could add crypto. And nations are adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets, as well as states that are petitioning to have their own Bitcoin strategic reserve in the US. Google is buying, GameStop wants to put it on their balance sheet. I mean, I could go on and on with the bullish news. So I'll start with big ideas for 2025 put out by Cathy Woods and her team from ARK Invest. Guys, this is going to blow your mind, so listen carefully. Their bull case for the Bitcoin price is $1.5 million by 2030, and actually they believe that the odds of Bitcoin hitting that price have gone up due to the institutionalization of this asset. In layman terms, institutional FOMO has arrived. She then goes on to discuss stablecoins and how the total transaction value of those stablecoins was 15 trillion and ended at 30 trillion, which is more than Visa and MasterCard. Now, Visa and MasterCard had more transaction volume, but the value was far superior in stablecoins, which is massive. Now, the thing that really got me thinking that nobody is prepared for what's coming was their estimation for the growth of the real global GDP. Their estimation is that the real global GDP will accelerate from where it's been for the past 140 years at 3% to a whopping 7 to 8%. Which they actually deem to be conservative. So the last 140 years have been sitting at 3, and suddenly we're going to do this huge, massive jump within the next 5 years to these astronomical numbers. It's hard for the human mind to imagine that type of parabolic growth, but it is coming. So don't be the one that's caught selling cheap to the likes of BlackRock and all of the rest of the institutions, guys. This is what I see. Again, not financial advice, but I'm just trying to give you a different perspective than the doom and gloom that you see on your Twitter timeline and the impact it's had on your portfolio lately. So take a break, go out, touch some grass, and think about these numbers before you make your decisions. That's just my advice. That's just my opinion. That's what I'm doing. So let's continue. So the reason that Cathy Wood gave from her firm ARK Invest for this massive growth in GDP is actually the convergence of very powerful technologies, among them being crypto and AI at the forefront and the backbone of the convergence of those technologies. In fact, the sentiment could flip bullish, crypto could flip bullish within a period of just 1.5 weeks. And you don't want to be caught on the wrong side of history if that is true. And as you know, this industry can go from extreme fear to extreme greed in a very short period of time, and sentiment can change in the drop of a dime. So yeah, that's another reason why I felt compelled to make this video today. Next up, I want to go over a very important indicator that I explained a few days ago on another video. The stats have come from one of my favorite analysts in the space alongside Capital Mindset Trading Group, which is Eric Crown from Crown's Crypto Cave. He gives some very powerful stats, and statistics are interesting things to be able to back check what's happened in history and how many times that's happened to give us an idea of what could play out in the future. Now, these are just statistics and probabilities, not certainties. Just remember that. So we have recently had a hash ribbon's capitulation signal fire off, which means that certain miners are turning off their equipment because they are no longer profitable, which is reflected in the capitulation of the price and the miners shutting off. And the weak miners then shut off, and we go through this period of accumulation phase typically after. Now, what tends to generally follow that Bitcoin capitulation signal is a Bitcoin buy signal on the hash ribbons, which is a very powerful signal. In fact, 17 of the last 20 Bitcoin hash ribbon buy signals have marked the major higher low in Bitcoin, never to be revisited again, but more importantly, never to be closed below again. So this could potentially be the turning point in the market that we've been waiting for. Now, Eric Crown just told us on a video yesterday that that Bitcoin buy signal could fire off as early as 5 days from now. And what happens historically after this Bitcoin buy signal fires off? Well, the average move that comes after the Bitcoin buy signal is 62%, which if Bitcoin is around 100K at the time that happens, could put Bitcoin anywhere around $160,000. And the average days it takes to play out are around 40 days. To put it in simple terms, within 5 days from now, we could see a Bitcoin buy signal firing off on the hash ribbons, meaning that most likely we've already seen the low put in for this part of the cycle, and we will go on to have that massive rally as has happened 17 times out of the last 20 in Bitcoin's hash ribbon buy signal history. And we could see this move completed within 40 days from there. So by end of March, we could see Bitcoin hitting astronomical heights. Can you imagine that right now as it stands, the sentiment as it is, the fear and greed being pretty much neutral, tending toward more on the fear side, and we're going to see potentially a $150,000 to $60,000 Bitcoin by end of March? That's why I'm saying it's important to be positioned, stick to your guns, stick to your strategy, whatever that may be, especially in these times. I am taking advantage of these fire sales, and I'll let you know what cryptos I'm buying at the end of this episode, so stay tuned. Another interesting indicator, which is shed light on what's going to happen next in the past, is the DXY, which is the US Dollar Index. Now, Eric Crown has indicated that we could have already seen the top, and a reversal could be in for the US dollar index. Now, what does that mean? Typically, when the dollar strength is falling or the dollar is becoming weaker, risk assets that trade against the dollar are generally going up. Fun fact, the last time Trump took office as president, we had a similar setup on the DXY, and it continued to be the actual reversal, and what happened next was history. So could we be repeating that same cycle? Only time will tell, but that is also another bullish indicator as to where we could be headed within the next few months. Another telling sign of that face-melting altcoin season that many of you from the comments on my YouTubes and everywhere on crypto Twitter believe is not going to come, will come, is the ETH versus Bitcoin chart. So we have massive bullish divergence on the 1 week ETH versus BTC chart. As you can see here, this chart is from Capital Mindset. Guys, we are doing a fire sale on Capital Mindset, trading and leverage combo, 30% off. There are limited spots available, so do sign up for that. The link is in the description below. Guys, these tools can be life-changing when we start to hit these parabolic moves. We are catching all of the best setups. Trip, our lead analyst, is absolutely amazing, and he will give you the absolute best setups to trade. And also you can learn to trade leverage and make money on this market, whether it goes up or down. And it is absolutely amazing. So do check that out. The link is in the description below. Now, when we've seen this type of bullish divergence on the ETH versus Bitcoin chart previously, that has signaled that we are due for a breakout. And when ETH breaks out, the entire altcoin market tends to follow. That's how it's been in the past. Love it or hate it, Ethereum has a lot of liquidity tied to it. And I believe it will have its day in the sun. I know all of you are focused on Solana, and a lot of people are saying ETH is dead. I don't believe it for 1 minute, especially not for this cycle at least. And I think we're going to get that mega run very soon for ETH. In fact, price targets for ETH this cycle are anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 in my opinion. Another fun fact is that the ETH versus Bitcoin chart is highly correlated to the Fed's balance sheet, aka the entire altcoin market cap in general. So typically when the Fed pivots and starts to increase its balance sheet, or in other words, inject liquidity into the market, the ETH versus Bitcoin chart starts to bottom out, and we will typically see an uptrend, a big bull trend for ETH after that. And finally, the best time of year, according to Virtual Bacon, that has taken these stats from the past 10 years, the best time to hold Ethereum is the first half of the year. I guess the time old saying as it goes, sell in May and go away, applies to ETH. All of this to say, if Ethereum is going to have a major run coming up, so will the other altcoins. At least that's how it's typically been. And since a lot of liquidity is tied up in ETH, it makes sense. Next up, I saw this on Ivan on Tech's YouTube channel. If you don't follow him, do follow him. He is absolutely amazing. About Bob Lucas and his sentiment analysis chart. Now, according to this chart, we're on day 50 of a 60-day cycle, and we could enter that bullish sentiment cycle within as little as a week and a half. So again, more confluence as to we might be closer to this whole market flipping bullish than you think, and time is of the essence. And finally, although there's been some scare in the markets due to Trump's tariff talks, I believe that is a temporary negotiation tactic to try to wield America's power and for Trump to try to get what he wants. And also, one of the biggest macro factors of all, besides the Fed potentially going to pivot within the coming months, is that there are now peace talks with Russia. And if the war with Ukraine is ended, the West will have to remove sanctions on the Russian Federation. Things will start to return back to normal, and the artificial high cost of energy will naturally go down. And not to mention, people will feel much more secure. Markets don't like uncertainty. That will bring certainty back into the market and will be good for humanity, not to mention. So finally, all signs point to the fact that we are just getting started with this fourth most parabolic phase of the bull run, and that we could have gas left in the tank, not only for the rest of 2025, but some analysts predict well into 2026. And if we want to pair it against the Wall Street cheat sheet to check out the emotions of a market cycle, here's a visual from Crypto Rover that we are just around the corner from that highly coveted thrill phase. So I hope that gives you some better perspective as to where we are. You're able to tune out the noise, guys. Stop looking at your portfolio, go outside, take a break, and come back in a few weeks or a month and things will be better. See, I'm a long-term investor, so I've learned to tune out the noise over the years, and I am prepared to hold certain assets very long-term. But then again, I will be selling at certain points in this bull run to take profit, which is what we should all do. Now, which altcoins am I buying on this dip? First off, all you Theta lovers, Theta. Trip, the lead analyst of Capital Mindset, just posted this Theta chart in our group that Theta is now a fire sale discount and back in accumulation range. I'm accumulating more Theta in this area, as well as HBAR, which I believe is set to do phenomenally well. Cardano, XRP, Litcoin, believe it or not, I may be holding some of that in my trading portfolio. Here's another chart from Capital Mindset, another goodie for you, that Litcoin is actually set to have a massive breakout, which is done in previous cycles. It would make sense. And there are also companies filing for Litcoin ETFs. So I believe Litcoin could have a run sometime soon. It is not in my long-term portfolio, but I will be trading it. And I'm also accumulating RWAs. If you can see in this chart here that I got from Crazy for Crypto's Digital Dave's group, do sign up for his Patreon. There's excellent gems in there. I like to recommend all of the most quality content creators in this space because it's very hard to filter through, and these are people who I believe are giving excellent information. So this is a chart of the top engagement for crypto projects right now on X, and as you can see, a lot of the RWA projects like HBAR are the highest engagement right now. Now, one company in particular that is, of course, on my radar, I am an advisor, I do have an allocation for full disclosure, and I also am buying, is Propy, the Pro token. I just did a giveaway. Congrats to the winners that won $300 each in Pro. Guys, they are bringing real estate on chain. They've got investors like Tim Draper, Anthony Scaramucci, and so many other big people. They're building on Base, the biggest RWA on Base, and they just auctioned a property in Hawaii through an NFT with a Bitcoin-backed loan, all US compliant. It's also US-based crypto. They're now giving incentives as well for getting people to RWA their homes in a massive campaign to earn Pro. So go check it out. Link is in the description. We are just getting started, and I am really, really excited for the rest of this year. I hope that you get some peace of mind from this episode, and I'll be doing more episodes like this throughout the week to try to get you as prepared as possible so stay tuned. And that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in with me, and I'll see you tomorrow.